Meantime, reactions have trailed the visit by the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, to President Bola Tinubu at his residence in Lagos on Tuesday. The visit comes less than a week after Fubara stated his intention to put aside pride and personal interest to restore peace in Rivers State and reconcile with his predecessor, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, whom he refers to as his boss. The details of the meeting were not immediately disclosed. This is their first public meeting since President Tinubu declared state of emergency in Rivers State on March 18th and suspended the governor. Well, let's take a look at some reactions. This is from EJ Tweet. Found this reaction funny. He says, "Is Governor Wike aware?" Is Wike aware, the minister? Well, politicians will always do political things. I made videos calling for the illegal suspension to be lifted. And Fubara is smiling with Tinubu. Politics is just a game. Good luck to both of them, Rivers and Nigeria. Well, Emeka wrote, Governor Fubara's Lagos visit to President Tinubu hints a strategic move amidst Rivers State's political storm, with Wike's shadow looming. Fubara might be rethinking alliances, sometimes in politics. If you can't beat them, join them. And you know that we saw a lot of these comments online. When we saw that picture, we were like, hey, state capture. I mean, those are some of the comments. Well, your thoughts on the visit by Fubara?
You know, earlier in the program, I said, for me personally, I thought the optics were unfortunate because this is an elected official.
Yes.
And, you know, we know that the assumption around it is that he's going to beg and plead. Now, if you remember in the month or so leading up to the state of emergency, the president had said that Governor Fubara should just stoop to conquer.
Yes.
That had been his very decisive advice to him. And, well, we see he's finally taking the advice and it's bearing fruit. And it's unfortunate that, you know, politicians will always do what it takes to stay in power or to claim power. It's around power. And where is the will of the people in all of this? Where is the accountability to the people who voted for him? The past 2 years have been stagnant in terms of development in Rivers State because it's been one political issue after the other. However, if you look at it from a political strategy perspective, especially after the statements we saw from the minister of the FCT at the beginning of the week, where he will deliver Rivers State, almost as the alpha and omega of the Rivers State. Well, this is President Tinubu also just reminding him that there's not one alpha and omega in Rivers State. Yes. Don't forget that there's somebody waiting in the corridors of power who's sitting at the throne currently, and based on that might be able to also check and balance your own influence in the state. So, gosh, it's all games that are being played. My heart just bleeds for the people of Rivers State who still need governance.
I mean, Rufai, we did see Governor Wike, I believe it was last month, actually accusing Arise TV of deceiving the governor and making him think that he was... Yes.
He said that?
Live television. He said it. Yes, he
Arise
did.
TV?
Yes, that he was deceived. Go ahead.
There's no way we could have deceived us.
I was wondering who did. Go ahead.
I don't know, because, I mean, the governor should have a mind of his own. So,
that's what we...
So you say we deceived the governor. We are probably giving us too much metaphysical power.
Yeah.
So how can we deceive?
What do you make of the optics there, though?
It's a very wrong optics.
Yes.
You know what the optics reminds me of? It was just like Miranda in Lagos State singing and thanking them after she was pulled out of office. This is bad optics for democracy. Let's call it spade a spade. In fact, this is one of the saddest days for democracy with these optics. A president that committed a constitutional aberration took an elected governor out by the people, trounced on the rights of an elected governor. Then you, Fubara, because you want the power so much, you are going to beg. How much will you beg? So people like this, when they slap you, when they cut your head, you will beg.
But you know, he did say that he wants peace.
What
so
peace?
He's trying
what peace?
Yeah, that was his last comment.
What peace? What peace?
Peace for the people.
Peace is earned through respect and war. Sometimes you have to sit down and fight. If you have to lose, you have to lose. In the end, isn't Fubara going to live there? Is he going to be governor forever?
No.
So in the end, you are still going to leave the position rather than somebody just trounce on your right like that and you look and you keep going to beg the same person that removed you from the mandate of the people. and you say this is optics, and he's saying, oh, the other day he said, what did the Fubara say? He said, my mind is living there. But obviously your mind has not left there. If they did state of emergency against you, what you should do is bid your time. After, if they don't give you back, so be it. But he also has something to lose, and it has shown. Oji, you need to stand for. So why do we praise President Tinubu today as last man standing? President Tinubu, if the script were free, would never, the President Tinubu, and I know, and I give him his respect today. I don't agree with me on many things, but I respect that man called President Tinubu. If the tables turn, the President Tinubu, I know, will never cower. And that's why I respect it. That's why it was called last man standing. He will never cower.
Right.
He will never grovel.
Jagaban.
He will Jagaban.
All right.
Jagaban.
All right.
He will stand on his rights. And that's what we expected Fubara to do. You thought it was easy for President Tinubu to fight the might of the central government like Olusegun Obasanjo and the character like Olusegun Obasanjo then. It wasn't easy for him, but he stood his ground. You thought it was easy for him to stay in opposition all these years and fight the might of the PDP before he finally gained one against him. Give him his credit. I'm giving him his credit when it doesn't mean I will not criticize him tomorrow. I'm giving him his credit today. Right. If the tables were turned, President Tinubu will not do this. It's Tinubu I know, and that's why I respect him.
In any case, we don't have a readout of the content of their meeting. We are just assuming that given the circumstances in Rivers State and the declaration of state of emergency, that the reason they went there to see President Tinubu, first time we will see the two of them together since this crisis began. So we assume that you cannot leave the place without talking about the state of emergency. Suppose he just went there to just greet the president in the spirit of Salah, and maybe Rivers State of emergency was not discussed. But okay, you can say it's the unspoken subtext. Right. You can't just go, I hear you're in Lagos, sir.
Well, there's a story that he went to London too now, and there was this Dobale thing going on.
We don't have a readout.
Yes,
we don't have a readout of what transpired.
Yes.
So we can only...
As what? He's a suspended governor.
Interesting times.
He's still the governor of the
people. Do you know how many more
governor.
weeks we have to wait for this suspension to be lifted? Is it already 6 months? I keep asking every time.
No, it's in September.
September.
The state of emergency was March 18,
So we have
2025.
a few more months to go. Well, we'll continue to follow up on this story as always.